is one of my songs called Safe Now. You're the second audience to hear it. I never really understood what people meant when they said they were scared to let people in. My heart was green, no pardon seen, so I thought. But now she's beat a little more, I can attest. The heart I thought was bare before was half expressed. Her true desires tucked inside to escape. So help me coax her out and know she's safe now. I want her to scream it out. What she really wants and needs. Want her to finally be seen. Somehow I never can say what I really need. Scared to hurt, upset, or make a scene. My heart she learned, keep quiet, little girl. But I don't wanna get to the end of things. Look back and see nobody really knew me. Change is what I need. So help me coax her out and know she's safe now. I want her to scream it out. What she really wants and needs. Want her to finally be seen. Don't you want to be known? Yes, don't you want to be known? Oh, don't you want to be known? Yes, don't you want to be known? see it now, a world where I do not hide. All parts are welcomed and given their fair time. How free such ease may be.
Well, that was really a brave, vulnerable song.
Sorry, that one was really new.
Yeah. I had heard it before at the concert, so I already knew what was coming. It's really... Which, by the way, I'm always so thankful and grateful for you and your posse of young musicians who are just being so raw and so authentic. And it's not easy, and it stirs up some pain, right? And thank you for being brave and sharing that. And I don't know if you can tell, but I might have some stuff going on that's making me a little vulnerable, a little unsteady, a little open. Yeah, I'm safe now. Boy, I've really gotten in touch in the last 6 months with how I just haven't really felt a lot of things. I've thought about feelings a lot. I think about them. And that's about it. That's good enough. And life is just requiring a lot more of me. And I wonder if that's true of you too.
Yes.
Yeah. And interestingly, this power of zeal that we're looking at, it's kind of the fun. So let me just back up and say we've taken this year to study Unity's 12 powers, these 12 innate capacities that we all have, that help us navigate life on earth and also help us to realize our spiritual essence, our spiritual purpose, our spiritual capacity. And this month is Zeal, which is kind of a favorite if you're feeling zealous, right? It's exuberance, excitement. The kids are often the ones we point to that are full of zeal. Oh boy, my glasses are a hot mess. They're all fogged up. So zeal has this feeling of this positive zest for life, enthusiasm and passion that offers a level of excitement. And here's the other thing that I've learned about this is it also is the fuel for evolution, right? And so there are a couple other aspects. We've talked about enthusiasm. We talked a little bit already about the other capacity, or the other way that zeal expresses, which is audacity, right? Audacity is an aspect of zeal relating to our inherent evolutionary impulse. As Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsett says, our power source for moving in the direction of fulfillment. and beyond the bounds of perceived limitations is audacity, the quality of boldness and forwardness. And in some ways, what I was experiencing, when I'm coming to realize my cutting myself off from my feeling nature, there is an impetus within me that is moving me to beyond that. And boy, am I like, well, let me think about it. Let me just think about it. Right? So it's trusting, too, that what propels us individually and collectively is toward expansion. I know logically I'm only experiencing a part of life when I stay up here. But I have to be willing to do something different. I have to choose to do something different. That's our power of will. So the quality of boldness and forwardness and audacity, as we have discussed, and I want to remind us, needs to be tamed by wisdom and understanding, lest we just bulldoze over everybody with our exuberance for what we're figuring out about us. You know, use some wisdom, employ our understanding, and know that the highest call for this power is the boldness to move forward in the expansion of our own understanding, of what it means to actually be an expression of this one light, this one life that we have for so long called God, of the divine in expression, that there is this one light, one life, and we are all examples of it, expressions of it. That takes some audacity to live like that. Yeah? And I often say, because the world tells us all these other things, but we're part of the world. So we get to stop telling ourselves that. And stop telling our children that, right? That's part of evolution. The other thing about evolution is that crisis forces evolution. It's like, if I'm going to make it through this, I have to change something. We have to change something. And not everybody will, right? I mean, you would think this experience of feeling my emotions was like climbing Mount Everest. But it feels so overwhelming to let myself feel the fullness of, I can feel the joy, but when the pain starts, I'm not as interested in that. Let me just transcend that. But oh, there is such wealth in the pain. And it takes courage. So today we welcome the third expression of zeal, devotion. I'd never really learned devotion as part of zeal before Linda Martella-Whitsett. That's the book we're using, Divine Audacity. When you think of devotion, what comes up to you? What do you think of when you think of devotion?
Devoted to something, to a person or a process or a thought.
Okay, yeah. Committed, devoted to something, a process or a thought, or someone. Honoring. Passionate. Devotion, yeah. Yeah, I think for me it's easy to kind of get it mixed up with worship. Which, here we are in a spiritual center, but there's something about worship that I'm like, I'll just keep doing that. Because So when I looked up worship as the feeling or expression of reverence and adoration for a deity, right, for something outside of us. So that's the piece, I think, particularly in a New Thought community where we say, hey, we're learning not to put it outside of us. We're learning to recognize it within us. Stripped of its religious connotation, worship means respectful devotion, loving, honoring, and obeying someone who deserves our highest regard. There's obeying. We're going to just let that go. But when you think about it in terms of your spiritual self, your higher self, and your egoic self, we want to obey the spiritual self. We want to be devoted to its wisdom, to its guidance. And let the smaller part that says, what about me, 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 me? Yes. We've got you, right? Linda Martella-Whitsett defines devotion as our capacity for wholehearted, single-minded attention. Enthusiastic, focused admiration. Our capacity for wholehearted, single-minded attention. Enthusiastic, focused admiration. Now, we're using this all the time, whether we know it or not. So the question comes up, to what, or perhaps to whom, are you giving your wholehearted, single-minded attention to? The world has a lot of stuff for you to pay attention to. We have to choose to pay attention to the still small voice within us, to see expressions of divine in all of our life, including chopping the vegetables and cleaning the bathroom. That one, I think, is still questionable. You know, maybe there are too many things going on in your life that you feel unable to focus on any one thing. Anybody have that going on? Just too much, yeah. Sometimes, and it's good, we're going right into fall, which is the season of letting go, we can say some of these things are not of utter importance. What are the things in my life, in my heart, in my community, in my family that I need to attend to, get focused about, get enthusiastic about, even if it doesn't feel that way at first, right? Change is, who says, woo, what? Change, come on, baby. There's a few of you I know. Bless, yes. And you keep us thinking outside of the box, because you don't even know there's a box, which I love, and can also be challenging, because we're like, hey, I've been living in this box. What are you doing out there? What do you mean there's no box? How come I'm in one? And maybe you've lost your sense of zeal. Maybe what used to excite you and grab your attention doesn't anymore, or maybe it's no longer available to you, a person or an activity. Anybody in that boat? No one's going to say, okay, that's all right. You've changed, or situation has changed. Luckily, we humans have this capacity of change. We can adapt. We can choose differently. And also, lucky for us, there is an infinite supply of life and love and wisdom in this universe. If we believe that there is this one source of life and love and wisdom, and it is imbued in all things, including us. If something comes to an end, there is something else. Matthew Fox has this quote where he says, "God is present in nature but struggles to be present among humans." God is present in nature but struggles to become present among humans. Why do you think that is? I don't have the answer. I'm asking. I think in part because we're not present half the time. And in part, I had to be silly. The deers and the wildflowers don't have a cell phone. And they don't read all the text about the election. 70,000 texts a day I'm getting. I'm like, how do you people even know who I am? They're not following the fall fashions, and going on diets. They are just single-focused on life. That's all they can be. That's all they know. Living life. And when we are present, and nature has that way of getting us present, reflecting presence and life and evolution. Here's the crux of this thing called devotion and zeal through the expression of devotion. Again, that we want to define devotion as wholehearted, single-minded focus, fueling our power of intensity. It fulfills the law of mind action. I have never put this together in that way. The law of mind action says where attention goes, energy flows. Right? What we think about expands. What we focus on. And so when we do that with devotion, we are devoted to thinking about this thing, we experience more and more of it. How many of you have been devoted to, oh my God, what's going to happen on November 4th? 5th, you know when it is. Thank you. Right? Or whatever. Whatever the thing is that can instill fear, insecurity, and then we go out and act in the world from our very best. And fear and insecurity. Can we have a single-minded focus that the election, among many other things, is this push, this crisis, propelling evolution? Things have got to change. How we relate to each other has got to change. Where attention goes, energy flows. What we focus on expands. And so, as Linda Martella-Whitsett says, the flow of energy responded to devoted attention is not random. It is precise, amplifying and reproducing the original thought. This is so simple, it's profound. Choose. This is the whole thing about new thought. If you don't like how your life is going, choose a new thought. As we used to say to the kids, and I'm now telling myself on a daily basis, change the channel you're listening to. That's up to us. And I know sometimes it feels like it isn't. It's like, no, this is the hand I got dealt. And I'm going to just keep talking about how terrible it is. Because it's terrible. Have you seen it? Look at this. Or what is happening? What is going on in my life that is encouraging me to grow, to expand, us to grow and to expand? So I just encourage you to think for yourself, how are you using your power of devotion? Are you taking time to give your wholehearted, single-minded focus toward your higher self, towards your spiritual self, towards your connection with that, towards your expression of that? Or have you set your focus upon your limitations and your fears and your irritations, or my favorite, your aches and pains? Which then they just get worse. Gosh, it's amazing. And perhaps more importantly, notice what happens in your experience when you shift your focus towards the gift of life itself. Right? Toward, by whatever reason, by whatever pull, we are the ones here on this planet right now. What are we going to choose to do with that? We can continue to feel like someone else is making the choices and I'm just going to get in line. It can feel like that sometimes. And those are not my choices, by the way. I would not have made them. But what am I supposed to do? Certainly giving up is not the best option. So to feel this notion, we have to be present, right? First of all. The other thing about devotion is it doesn't, and enthusiasm, it doesn't operate in the future. It operates right now. You can't be like, oh, in 10 days I'm going to be really enthusiastic. Woo! Right now. Right? So we practice. This is why spiritual practice is essential for a spiritual experience in life. Linda Martella-Whitsett said, practice builds up our consciousness so that achieving desired states of equanimity and unity becomes easier and faster as our consciousness blossoms. We've been doing our 5 principles class, and I've been reminded, I know this, but the profound teaching that life is consciousness. All that really matters is what we are aware of, what we are thinking, what we are experiencing based on where we set our focus. And our consciousness can continue to expand as we pay attention to that, invite that, spend time in meditation, loosening our grip and opening up. So we'll have time to do that now. Would you mind singing us in? Okay. I want to say one more thing. Do I? I'm actually not going to say anything. I'm going to have her sing us into a time of meditation where we can kind of take this in for ourselves.
Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Whoa. Wonderful Spirit. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit.
Take a deep breath. Closing or lowering closing your eyes or lowering your gaze. Feeling the ground beneath your feet, the chair supporting your back. Whew, taking a deep breath. Consciously bringing your attention to this moment as you begin to pay attention to what it feels like to be in your body right here, right now. Feet on the ground, seat supporting your back. You can relax your physical body, relax your shoulders. Focusing on our breath is the invitation to go inward. Last week I shared that the Greek word for spirit in the New Testament was pneuma, which can be translated as breath. The movement of spirit within is literally our breath. It begins with our breath. So we notice how just taking a few conscious breaths brings us into the present moment. And we take this time to focus our mind, open our mind to this idea of devotion, to be focused on that within us that is of spirit itself. That place and that space where we can be fully present and supported in that. That place within us that knows us deeply, but is not fully us. There is a separation there. There's a witnessing. So what is that? Perceiving capacity within me to know me and yet not enmesh. Presence of spirit within you. And so as we open our heart and mind to really let the profoundness that we can connect with that anytime we choose to put our attention in that direction. We are met with a presence, with an understanding, with a wisdom, with a love, with a peace that our time devoted to that only expands. So let it expand in you now. And let this idea that you are a perfect idea in the mind of God expressing right here, right now. You don't have to do it perfectly. That is still a truth. Each and every human being is fulfilling that law of expressing a perfect idea in the mind of God. It's up to us to choose to know that, to believe that, and to live as though we believe it. So the invitation often is to let go of old stories, of old limitations, of old regrets, and make room for this spirit to move through you to guide you, to support you in shining the light that you have come here to be. Time to notice as well how spending this brief amount of time devoted to that presence within you changes you, what it gives you, what it can give to those around you. And the invitation is to commit, to be devoted to this practice, however it is that it works for you. To take time, to get still, to let go of how we think it should go, and be with what is. In all its beauty and joy and zeal, in all its sadness and junk, all of it. We have come here equipped to handle it all. To not just, as Eric Butterworth says, get through life, but to grow through life. So affirm this for yourself now. I am centered in the evolutionary divine power of zeal. An inexhaustible supply of passion and readiness are mine now. We are preparing to daringly share the light that we are in the world. Moment by moment, day by day, may we grow in our devotion to all that resides within us.
Oh